So in general, when you look at the system, there are three pillars which we lean on. One is data management. The second is research, and the third is visualization. You can cherry pick as well. So we have a data management tool which you can use. You can do research in our tool. We have an online research platform, but it's what you want to do with it. You can skip it. If you have another research platform already, you can just use the data management and the visualization. We even have customers that only use the data management because it's so flexible, and then they pump it into another system again. So it's depending on what you want to use. If your data is already well structured, you can just use the visualization part. So it is just three pillars that we build in the system, which you can combine. You can use one of them, and that is how we set up the system. So then, what makes the system, from my perspective, special? What we really try to focus on. Everything is focused around continuous projects and research, for continuous data flows. Which means real time, everything goes real time. So for example, if you get a file or a connector and data flows in, within seconds, questionnaires are sent out. Seconds later, after it's filled in, it is available in the dashboard. This gives some complexity for us building it, because everything needs to be managed around running in continuous research. So updating questionnaires, updating data structures, changing data structures, all without losing the 24/7 flow of data and information to your company. Multi-channel data collection. To be able to really report well, you need to combine data instead of putting everything in different sources. So we have a whole data management system and mapping system, and we allow on a project multi-channel data collection to be able to have a good source data for your visualization. The third thing, which is a big thing, is the data management. We call it for dummies. So we try to change what usually an IT guy does into front-end functionality, where someone with just knowledge of what he wants to achieve, that they could achieve it just by clicking into the system. I will show it in a demo in a few minutes. There's one thing specifically, we have drag and drop functionality just to combine different data sources. We have a dynamic rule engine which can help you to restructure your complete data source. We also handle label data. You can map your data. You can combine data into different labels. So this is specifically known in the research market. And also with the rule engine, you can improve your data. So you can build logic on rules that automatically keep updating and improving your data to make sure all the dashboards are always up to date. And then on top of it, we have customizable dashboards that you can build. You can click them into each other, also with just front-end functionality. And we build a specific functionality for custom infographic, which is a quite a nice feature, I must say. And then to make sure that you can share this within the company at a good level, we have extended portal and user management settings. This means that everybody in the organization or with customers can have access at their specific level. So there's a big chunk of possibilities to share dashboards, projects, information with each other with different levels of access to that specific data. What you see here is the first part I'm going to show. So if I just take it all down, the functionality, then you will see there's a line here in the middle. So it's called the Experience app. So what we did is we split the functionality for the system into two groups. You will have collaborator functionality and user functionality. The collaborator functionality is above this line. There's a completely different pricing for collaborators. So these are people who want to work with you on research, but don't manage the research. They can log in, look at reports. So the functionality they're getting, they can work on projects, filling in questionnaires, for examples, for audits or as employees. So you can conduct audits that are planned in some frequencies. Then you can just add simple forms and checklists to this group, and they can also fill this in. You can write blogs to the people, and they can read the blogs that you have written about what's going on in your company or organization. You can also remove every feature from the collaborator. That's just a choice. And then they can look at dashboards. So the dashboards that are published to them, they can view the dashboards. So they can view and collaborate on the projects that are running. But they can't manage projects, they can't set it up. So that is everything above the app. This will be connected also. The Experience app is what we call the web version of the mobile app, but the same functionality is in the iOS and Android App Store under the CX.management app. So this functionality, above the line collaborator functionality, it combines with the app, so you can choose. If you don't want to download the app as a manager or an employee, you can just go online, and otherwise you can just download the app in the App Store and have the same functionality. And then beneath the line, Iris is specifically for the healthcare. That's why it's open in the demo, but not specifically relevant for this session. And then you can have the data guard, and that's the data management platform we were just discussing in the presentation. Then there's the data collection, there's a research part of the system, and then the reporting part of the system is the visualization in the system, and then you have your management tasks. I will just fly over a few of the features. Users and groups, you can create users, add them into groups, assign roles to the users, and users can manage their own profile in the system. Specifically the roles, we have defined a few default roles, but just to give you an idea about the application permission settings, which are quite extensive. So every feature has an extensive list of what you can switch on and off, what people can do or cannot do, what they are allowed to do. So this way you can create extensive rules for users to make sure they get access what they need, but don't get more access than needed. Then there is the portal settings, portal names, the look and feel. You can completely brand your own portal. It's quite nice to tell, but we are now working on a few changes that you can also have your complete login screen branded as well, and that you can have your own domain. Also, the communication settings are now being changed, so you can just add multiple email addresses to the system that will automatically be used if you select them in projects and schedules. And then there is the period and the reporting settings, but I will just tip them when we jump to the dashboarding part. The media library, this is where all the documents are saved, but also all the documents that are running in your research. So for example, if in a questionnaire or in a project you collect videos or images, you see here, this is uploaded by respondent. This is images that are running through your research, which have the same label as your as the ID, and these images can also be used to show in reports. So if you build a report and you want to show the image to a user on the report or a slider, you can just use the images as well to present to the users. So this is just the management settings of the system. And then if we go through it step by step, the next step I think is the data garden. If you look at the data garden, you import files. That's what's being done. I won't go through the whole process because we cannot make this into the planning, but I will just open one. So you define what does this file look like? How is it coming out of the other system? The whole challenge we faced was we don't want to ask the IT department to change their structure. So what we need to do in this system is need to be able to handle any structure and any data source that they give us, and then manage it in our system to change it, improve it the way we want to, because we know if you ask something at a regular IT department in a regular company, it's always busy, they're always under pressure. So by having flexibility here, it is much easier to set projects up. The time to go live is much faster. Then you can add sources to it. You can just upload them manually, but you can also set up SFTP connections. And we're now opening up with the API, so you can also connect through API. So in a few weeks, we will probably to a few months, we will launch the complete API management system, which allows you to connect to any import slot and just build connectors. Then you can build rules on import, and this is just to help you secure everything. So what you see in projects that we were doing the last 6-7 years is that sometimes by accident the wrong file is added, or a much bigger file, or instead of the records of last day, the records of the last year is added. So you can build quite flexible, just checks that you want to do. You might want to check the name or the file size. And if it's not according to the things you set here, so if the name is not according to the conditions you set here, then automatically the file is blocked. So you set the conditions on when to import. The less you put in, the much more flexible the system will work with it. And then you can see the data that has been imported into the system in the review, and every import gets a log. So that's how the import works. And then you can have a lot of import sources. So I will, when I deep dive a bit later, I will show a portal which has much more. And then you go to projects. So the projects are managed here. So the trick is you can have one or multiple imports that run into a project. So let me go here. It's a similar setup. So what you do here is, for example, you have one of the sources. So if you look at the sources I can choose, this is the same list as we saw in the imports. And now I can say, okay, I want to combine a few imports into a project. And in this screen, I can just drag and drop. So if I, for example, have the company here and I have the company or the store here, I could just drag and drop it into the right box. So in this case, for example, store manager, and I see store manager here, I can just drag and drop it into store manager. This is quite simple drag and drop functionality to combine multiple files. So the step is now I have combined multiple files. If you just have one file, you just map it one-on-one. And this is the second file, and I can keep adding sources as much as I want. So we have projects which combine 17 to 18 files into one project. And as soon as you switch it on, it starts running. And from that moment on, every 5 minutes, it checks for new records and I push them into the project. Then there's a place where you can define and name all your variables. So how do you want to work with it? And you can also add, for example, label data. So this is for research agency quite common. And you can choose what kind of data it is. And depending on the type of data, it gets easier in your reporting to use it. But I won't go into too much details now. And then you can build rules. The rules are split up in creating records, mutating records, and event-based records. Creating records is when a record comes into this project. And the project can be used either for research or just for reporting purposes. It doesn't matter. You need a project to be able to report, and you can add research to it. That's the choice. Then on creating records, so each time a record rolls in, it will run through the list of rules. And then on mutating of a record, every time a record changes, it runs through the whole list of rules. Also in the correct ordering. The ordering is important for the rules, so you can have rules that will follow up. And then you have event-based records. You can choose when it needs to run, or it will run, for example, on an import of an update. I will just switch to another screen just to deep dive a little bit more into the effect of a rule engine like this. So I have one example, which is quite a more complex one, but it's really a nice one. So this is an example of where more projects are running. Here you see a bit higher volume, 700,000 in, 300,000 on last imports. So what happens here? This is just an example where our IT is testing and using stuff. So for example, we had a challenge. The challenge was there was a big chain, supermarket chain, and they really needed to manage their report structure. So they say they have one unique identifier. It was an SAP number, and all the other information was different in all different locations. So the regional managers change. Everything changes every day. It's a multi-billion in turnover, and everything changes there every day. And we were managing this every day for them to keep the report stream up to date. So what we did now is, and that's the example I just want to dive into, we build a lookup functionality. So what we do is we said we create just a database and an import, and we just put in the correct information. And now their manager knows everything that changes, they just drop it in there. They just export it from there. They have one central location, they put it in there, and automatically the system here search every record. It goes through the list, it finds the SAP number and automatically updates address fields, structure fields, phone numbers, postal codes, but also districts, formulas, the district managers. Everything is updated automatically in the system. And then this rule also applies on event-based. So as soon as they update the import, automatically all projects are being checked within 4 hours and updated to the newest information that they have. And that means that we never run up. In the beginning, we were away, so let's say around a month. So every month we did an update manually. And now within 4 hours, everything is updated in every dashboard, which is a big impact. This is mainly about the data garden. Just an example with a bit more details. But if you don't get it, it's also fine, and we can definitely have another call to explain it in more detail. Then the data collection, I will go through it in high level just to show a little bit of what it can do. Just to give you an idea, this is the place where you can work on your questionnaires. It's quite simple. On the left, you have the list of questions you created. Here you type in your questions, and on the right, you have your settings. And you always have page settings, question settings, and answer settings. So it's quite the simple thing. If you want to add a new page, a slider pops up with all the information. I won't do it now because then I will go through the whole thing. And there are all different types of questions which you can use. KPIs are predefined. That's how it runs. And then there's one thing I want to show, just to give you guys an idea of what is quite complex, but not really thought through usually, and that is the test and publish phase. So what you do is, if a project runs every day, or you're working with your customer and changing it, we have a whole flow which automatically manages the versioning of your questionnaire and automatically keeps updating the database at the backend. So they will always be up to date with the newest version you're running on live. So the questionnaire you're looking at is in edit. And as soon as you have your questionnaire ready, you can just place it into test. Quite simple, and it will just copy it. And then it asks, do you want to duplicate this version? Yeah, I want to do it. And as soon as you do it, automatically a test link is created, so you and your colleagues can work with the test link to see if it's all correct. So you can run through the research. And then also you can just plan it for live and push it to live, and automatically each respondent, even if the project is still running, is automatically managed by the system who is getting which version. It's all done automatically. So this is quite a smart thing in the from my perspective in the questionnaire engine. And furthermore, we have quite a normal way of working with the questionnaire. Let me go through the dashboard part. So if you look at the data collection, it is added on top of all the data management part, and then if you combine the data that you have put into your data garden with the data you've collected, you have your data ready for reporting. So I will just show you a few things that are done in the reporting, and then I will go through adding a dashboard and doing this. So this is just a few visuals just to give you an idea of what you can do. It's all different kind of functionality. Some is based on individual records, some is based on calculations. This is just to show you an idea of some of the visuals. But depending on how you set it up, you can build tables, you can build data tables, you can build graphs, you can build rankings, whatever you want to do. But just to give you guys an idea on if you then make it for a customer. So this is running for a specific customer that we have. And this is just audit reports combined with connection of the data. This is if alcohol is sold. Here, custom infographics are added to the project. So these are complete infographics specifically built completely in their branding. This is just to give you guys a little bit idea of what the dashboarding and the visuals do. Different examples. And then I I will just go through one more example. There's just all kind of different graphs available. Different tables with scoring. So this is just some few examples. Just to give you an idea how you get there, we need to go through the concepts of the dashboards, and then I will deep dive a little bit more into the infographics. So the first thing we have when you build a dashboard, it is around the portal management. So the thing you have, the system automatically will structure your data in any period setting you want. So some companies work in years of January to December, some in April to March, so you can define which years do we allow in our system to be chosen in the dashboard. The second thing is, how do you want to group your data? If you work with continuous research, you usually combine data per week, per month, per quarter, per year, per 6 months, per 2 years, whatever you want to do, or you want to define some variable in the data for a custom structure. So that is all depending on your own choices. When you've set this, there are different calculations. Phil already ticked this in his meeting about what the system automatically can handle, and it's a combination of things, you know, like an average, a count, a sum, but also the top box, bottom box, that are more the research kind of things, Net Promoter Score calculations, satisfaction calculations, response percentages. This is already by default supported by the system. And then when you start building your dashboard, just open up one. Yeah, so this is a dashboard that's running. And what we did is, you have some settings for the dashboard. You can change the color schemes, you can change background images, and here you can set the settings for period and the way this dashboard runs on your data. And then just walk you through a few of the things that you can do. You have a whole list of widgets that are predefined, simple tiles that you can use with progress bars, all different just visuals that you can use. We have a whole bunch of iconized widgets that can be used. Specifically for research KPIs, we developed a few things that are mainly used for NPS scoring, for example, or customer effort scoring. This is mainly, scoring board is mainly used to report how things are going, and then you have just the normal charts and the specials. I can have the whole webinar about this, so I will just stop here. There's one thing I want to show about the infographics, because the flexibility is quite extreme, and that is that we have built quite a smart infographic builder. So what you do is, infographics, anything a designer can design, we can report. So for example, if you have a customer doing a customer journey research, you can just connect it to the data. So the thing you do is I will just show it in how it works. You'll export the image as an SVG. It's a default file size. You put the SVG into this SVG string thing. You will run it once, and then the SVG is loaded into this infographic. This means that any design that a designer makes, you can use as a graph to use for reporting. Anything. I will show you a few examples. What will happen then is, you can connect the numbers, for example, in your infographic. You can just connect them to this. So in this example, you see customer journey standing here, but if I want to change this to Taco's journey, it is made flexible. And from this perspective, you can connect any piece of data to this that you have in your research. So for example, if you have this running and you will just want to switch it to a dynamic display point, you have a wizard that will just walk you through the whole thing. What do you want to report? This is also where you can see you can combine multiple projects into one infographic, and then you can just choose any project. I want to get an NPS score to show, and then I just need to select my NPS question. And from that moment on, I start running. What do you want? What do you want to show? Do you just want to show the NPS? Do you want to show the number of respondents it's based on? Do you want to show a trend indicator? Or do you want to show it for this period, the previous period? And this way you can run through a lot of details. I won't finish it all up, but this means that you can make this whole image as flexible as you want to make it and make it run on your data in real time. But just to show you a few examples that are made in the same infographic, it can handle a visual, these kind of scripts. It can handle Java scripts to show. You can build complete audit reports like this. This is all based on the same widget type. And we also make completely branded ones. So this is for a research we do for one of our customers. And you can have completely branded infographics as well. So this way you can build any dashboard, any report that you want live on your data.